What's up, Purple Nation? Skull Vikings faithful, and welcome back to the most explosive NFL news coverage you'll find anywhere on the internet. I'm coming at you with some absolutely earth-shattering developments that are rocking the Minnesota Vikings organization to its very core right now. And let me tell you something, what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes will change everything you thought you knew about this franchise heading into the 2025 season. We're talking about federal court decisions that could reshape the entire NFL landscape. We're talking about Pro Bowl veterans making shocking moves that nobody saw coming. And we're talking about performances in practice that have seasoned coaches using words like unguardable and money, words that should have every Vikings fan on the edge of their seat right now. But here's what's really gonna blow your mind. There's drama brewing behind the scenes that connects directly to one of the most controversial lawsuits in NFL history. There's a four-time Pro Bowl superstar who just signed his name on the dotted line in Minneapolis. And there's a second-year quarterback who's got veterans saying things that will make you forget all about Sam Darnold ever wearing purple and gold. Can you imagine what it would feel like if everything you thought you knew about this team's direction suddenly shifted overnight? Because that's exactly what's happening right now in Eagan, Minnesota. The pieces are moving, the chessboard is being reset, and the implications of what I'm about to tell you extend far beyond just wins and losses on Sundays. Before we dive into the absolute chaos that's unfolding, I need you to do me a massive favor. Hit that like button if you're ready to have your mind completely blown by what's happening with your Minnesota Vikings. Drop a comment below telling me which story you think is going to have the biggest impact on this season. And make sure you're subscribed because the content we're dropping over the next few weeks is going to be absolutely insane. Now, are you ready to find out which federal appeals court decision just sent shockwaves through the NFL front offices across America and how it directly impacts someone wearing purple and gold right now? Let me paint you a picture of what happened in a federal courthouse that has NFL commissioners and team owners absolutely losing their minds behind closed doors right now. Picture the scene. Lawyers in expensive suits, federal judges reviewing documents that could change the entire power structure of professional football. And at the center of it all, someone who walks the sidelines at US Bank Stadium every single Sunday, calling defensive plays that have opposing offensive coordinators waking up in cold sweats. The United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit just dropped a bombshell decision that has Roger Goodell and 32 NFL owners scrambling to figure out their next move. We're talking about a ruling that essentially told the NFL that their arbitration process is fundamentally flawed, that it offends basic presumptions of legal jurisprudence, and that certain claims must now be decided in actual courtrooms rather than behind closed doors in league offices. And the man at the center of this legal earthquake, Brian Flores, your Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator, whose civil lawsuit against the NFL and multiple teams can now proceed to trial instead of being buried in the league's internal arbitration system. Think about the implications of what just happened here. Flores filed this lawsuit back in February 2022, alleging racial discrimination in hiring practices across the NFL. He knew he was risking his entire coaching career when he put his signature on those legal documents. This is a man who said the NFL remains rife with racism, particularly when it comes to the hiring and retention of black head coaches, coordinators, and general managers. But here's what makes this story absolutely fascinating from a Vikings perspective. Flores has been passed up for head coaching positions in each of the last two off seasons, even after orchestrating one of the best defensive seasons in recent Vikings history in 2024. Multiple teams interviewed him, multiple teams walked away, and now we're heading into his third season in Minnesota, still coordinating a defense that's projected to be one of the NFL's absolute elite units. Can you imagine the conversations happening in NFL front offices right now? Can you picture the emergency meetings between owners and their legal teams trying to figure out how to handle a lawsuit that could expose hiring practices they never wanted made public? Because that's exactly what's about to happen. And it all centers around a man who's going to be calling plays for your favorite team come September. The appeals court specifically said that the NFL's arbitration provision provides no independent arbitral forum, no bilateral dispute resolution, and no procedure. In plain English, that means federal judges looked at the NFL system and said it's rigged, it's unfair, and it's not going to fly in American courtrooms. So what happens next? We're looking at actual trials, real courtrooms, sworn testimony under oath, and discovery processes that could force NFL teams to turn over internal communications, hiring documents, and decision-making records that they've kept locked away for decades. This isn't going away quietly in some conference room anymore. This is heading to public trials where everything gets exposed under oath. And through it all, Brian Flores continues to show up to work at TCO Performance Center, continues to develop game plans that make opposing offenses look absolutely foolish, and continues to prove that his coaching abilities speak for themselves regardless of what happens in federal courthouses. Are you starting to understand why this story is so much bigger than just one man's legal battle? Now, while federal courts are making decisions that could reshape the entire NFL power structure, the Vikings front office has been making moves of their own that have completely flown under the radar until now. We're talking about a signing that brings nearly a decade of elite NFL experience directly to the heart of this offensive line, and the implications of this move are absolutely staggering when you really break down what it means for J.J. McCarthy's development and this team's championship aspirations. Picture walking into the Vikings locker room and seeing a jersey hanging in a stall that represents 4 Pro Bowl selections, 9 years of NFL experience, and a resume that includes snapping the ball to Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and some of the most talented quarterbacks of the past decade. That's exactly what you'd see right now, because the Vikings just secured the services of Ryan Kelly, and this signing might be the most underrated move of the entire offseason across the NFL. Let me break down exactly why this signing is an absolute masterstroke by Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell. Ryan Kelly isn't just any center. We're talking about a former first-round draft pick who has started 120 NFL games, made 4 Pro Bowl teams, and earned second-team All-Pro honors. This is a player who has been the anchor of offensive lines that have protected some of the most valuable quarterbacks in the league. But here's what makes this signing absolutely brilliant from a Vikings perspective. Kelly's experience with developing young quarterbacks. Think about his career arc. He entered the NFL in 2016 and immediately became the center for Andrew Luck during some of Luck's most productive seasons. When Luck retired, Kelly adapted his game to work with veterans like Phillip Rivers and Carson Wentz, proving his ability to adjust his communication and protection schemes based on quarterback preferences and skill sets. Now imagine what that experience means for J.J. McCarthy's development. You've got a second-year quarterback who missed his entire rookie season due to injury, stepping into a starting role with championship expectations, and now he's got a Pro Bowl center who has literally been through this exact scenario multiple times throughout his career. The 2024 season was admittedly disappointing for Kelly due to a knee injury that sidelined him for a significant portion of the year, but medical reports indicate he's fully healthy and ready to return to his Pro Bowl form. The Colts' struggles weren't due to Kelly's performance when healthy. They were due to inconsistent quarterback play and defensive issues that plagued the entire organization. From a technical standpoint, Kelly brings something to this Vikings offensive line that's been missing. Consistent veteran leadership at the most cerebral position on the offense. The center is responsible for identifying defensive alignments, making protection calls, and ensuring that the entire offensive line is working in perfect synchronization. Having someone with Kelly's experience and football IQ anchoring the line means McCarthy can focus on reading defenses and making plays rather than worrying about protection breakdowns. Can you imagine the difference this makes in crucial moments? Picture fourth quarter situations where the game is on the line, the crowd is deafening, and communication becomes absolutely critical. Having Ryan Kelly's veteran presence and proven ability to handle high pressure situations could be the difference between playoff success and early elimination. But here's the part that should have Vikings fans absolutely ecstatic. Kelly's track record with mobile quarterbacks. While he spent most of his career with pocket passers, his ability to adapt protection schemes and handle various quarterback styles suggests he'll be perfect for McCarthy's skill set, which includes extending plays and creating opportunities outside the pocket. The signing also sends a clear message about the Vikings' championship aspirations for 2025. You don't invest in a 4-time Pro Bowl center unless you're planning to make a serious playoff run. And you don't bring in that level of veteran leadership unless you believe your young quarterback is ready to take the next step. What kind of impact do you think this signing will have on the entire offensive line's performance this season? Speaking of veteran leadership and developing young quarterbacks, there's been some absolutely fascinating insight emerging from TCO Performance Center about the dynamics developing between coaches and players as they evaluate depth chart positions and backup roles. The conversations happening behind the scenes reveal a coaching philosophy that could determine not just who makes the 53-man roster, but how this organization approaches quarterback development for years to come. Kevin O'Connell recently opened up about his expectations for backup quarterbacks, and his comments reveal a coaching mindset that goes far deeper than just having someone who can come off the bench and throw completions. We're talking about a philosophy that emphasizes decision-making, leadership, and understanding situational football at the highest level, and it's creating opportunities for players who might not have the strongest arms but possess the football intelligence to thrive in this system. Max Brosmer has become the focal point of these discussions, and O'Connell's recent comments highlight exactly what path exists for an undrafted rookie to make the 53-man roster in one of the most competitive quarterback rooms in the NFL. This isn't just about arm strength or mobility, it's about understanding what O'Connell calls total ownership at the line of scrimmage pre-snap, and consistently making the right decisions rather than trying to be a hero on every play. Here's what makes O'Connell's approach so fascinating. He's drawing from his own personal experience as a backup quarterback who had to learn the hard way that success comes from doing your job consistently rather than trying to win the Super Bowl on every snap. He specifically mentioned how early in his career he was throwing it deep on every shot play and throwing it into tight windows on every third down, trying to prove himself with spectacular plays rather than building a foundation of reliable performance. That lesson has become the cornerstone of how he evaluates backup quarterbacks, and it's creating a clear pathway for someone like Brosmer who might not have the physical tools of other candidates but possesses the mental approach that O'Connell values most. The head coach emphasized that backup quarterbacks need to step into the huddle, command the huddle, have total ownership at the line of scrimmage pre-snap, and then carry that over to doing your job post-snap consistently over and over and over again. This philosophy becomes even more critical when you consider the Vikings' recent history with backup quarterbacks. The 2023 season saw them start 4 different quarterbacks after Kirk Cousins' injury, and the inconsistent play from that position directly contributed to their collapse from a 4-4 start to a disappointing 7-10 finish. O'Connell lived through that nightmare scenario, and it's clear that experience has shaped his current approach to evaluating depth at the position. Brosmer has been embracing this philosophy in ways that are catching coaches' attention. Reports from practice indicate he's been staying after official sessions to work with young receivers, focusing on timing and precision rather than trying to impress with arm strength. His performance in the preseason opener included what observers called a tremendous throw down the field to Tim Jones that had the crowd erupting. But more importantly, it demonstrated his ability to read defenses and deliver the ball accurately in rhythm. The path to making the roster remains challenging for any undrafted rookie, but O'Connell's comments reveal that it's not impossible. The emphasis on doing the right things and making great decisions rather than spectacular plays creates opportunities for quarterbacks who understand game management and possess the football IQ to handle various situations. What's really interesting is how this philosophy connects to J.J. McCarthy's development as well. O'Connell mentioned that the backup quarterback's reps are tied directly to a lot of the first team guys, meaning that whoever earns the backup role will be working closely with the starting offense and could provide valuable insight and support for McCarthy's growth as a leader. Can you see how this entire approach reflects a coaching staff that values intelligence and consistency over raw physical ability? It's the kind of philosophy that can turn overlooked players into valuable contributors. and it suggests that the Vikings are building a culture where making smart decisions is more important than making highlight reel plays. How do you think this coaching philosophy will impact not just the backup quarterback battle, but the entire team's approach to player development? While coaches are implementing their philosophical approaches to player evaluation, the veterans in the locker room are providing their own assessments of what they're seeing from the players around them. And some of the comments emerging from established leaders are revealing just how dramatically the culture and expectations have shifted within this organization over the past 2 seasons. The insight coming from veteran tight end TJ Hawkinson about JJ McCarthy's development provides a fascinating window into how quickly a young quarterback can earn respect and establish leadership within a locker room full of experienced professionals. Hawkinson's comments go far beyond typical coach speak praise. We're talking about specific observations about leadership qualities, football intelligence, and maturity that suggest McCarthy has made enormous strides in areas that can be measured by statistics or highlight reels. Jay Hawkinson, who recently shared his assessment of McCarthy's growth, and his words should have Vikings fans absolutely excited about what they're going to see once the regular season begins. Hawkinson said he doesn't feel like a young guy. I mean, the way he controls the huddle, the way he comes in, his energy in the huddle, how he talks about the game, the level and the mentality, it's high level thinking. And so when you're talking about a young guy, there are a lot of times you don't feel like that from him. Think about the weight of those words coming from a veteran who has played with multiple quarterbacks throughout his NFL career. Hawkinson has seen the difference between quarterbacks who command respect and those who are still learning how to lead. And his assessment suggests that McCarthy has already crossed that crucial threshold from promising prospect to genuine leader. The specific qualities Hawkinson highlighted: controlling the huddle, bringing energy, discussing the game at a high level. These aren't things that can be taught through film study or practice repetitions. These are intangible leadership qualities that either emerge naturally or develop through experience and maturity. And the fact that a veteran like Hawkinson is seeing them in McCarthy's second year is remarkable. What makes this assessment even more significant is the context of McCarthy's situation. He's stepping into a role previously held by Sam Darnold, who led this team to 14 wins and a playoff appearance in 2024. The pressure and expectations are enormous, and any regression in team performance will inevitably lead to questions about whether the organization made the right decision in moving on from Darnold. But Hawkinson's comments suggest that McCarthy has been preparing for this moment in ways that go far beyond just physical preparation and skill development. The veteran tight end specifically credited McCarthy's engagement and learning approach. He deserves all the credit. Last year, obviously going into all the meetings. This year, just being as engaged as he has been and as much learning as he's done has been a lot of fun to watch. This reveals something crucial about McCarthy's character and work ethic. Despite missing his entire rookie season due to injury, he used that time productively, attending meetings, studying the system, and building relationships with his teammates. Rather than becoming disconnected from the team during his rehabilitation, he remained fully engaged with the mental and leadership aspects of his development. The fact that established veterans are now publicly expressing confidence in McCarthy's abilities suggests that the locker room culture around the quarterback position has shifted dramatically. Veterans don't typically offer this level of praise unless they genuinely believe in what they're saying, and Hawkinson's comments indicate that McCarthy has earned respect through his approach and preparation rather than just his draft status or potential. From a strategic standpoint, having veteran support becomes crucial for any young quarterback's success. The NFL is a league where leadership and respect must be earned, and the fact that players like Hawkinson are already viewing McCarthy as a legitimate leader rather than a developing prospect changes the entire dynamic of how the offense will function. Can you imagine the confidence boost it provides to a second-year quarterback to know that his veteran teammates already view him as someone who doesn't feel like a young guy? That kind of support creates a foundation for success that extends far beyond individual talent or coaching schemes. What impact do you think this veteran support will have on McCarthy's ability to handle the pressure and expectations that come with being the starting quarterback for a team with playoff aspirations? As we've been discussing leadership development and veteran support systems, there's been another story unfolding on the practice fields that demonstrates the incredible talent level this organization has assembled, and it's happening in ways that should have every Vikings fan absolutely ecstatic about the offensive firepower they're going to witness this season. We're talking about performances that have seasoned observers using superlatives typically reserved for the most elite players in the entire league. During the recent joint practices with the New England Patriots, one particular Vikings receiver has been putting on an absolute clinic that has coaches, reporters, and teammates taking notice in ways that suggest we might be witnessing the emergence of something truly special. The performances have been so dominant that credible NFL observers are using words like unguardable and money. And when you understand the context of these evaluations, it becomes clear that we're looking at a player who could be on the verge of a breakout season that changes everything about how opposing defenses approach this Vikings offense. Jordan Addison has been absolutely torching defensive backs during these joint practices, and the specific way he's been dominating suggests that his chemistry with J.J. McCarthy has reached a level that could make them one of the most dangerous combinations in the entire NFL. Alec Lewis of The Athletic, a respected reporter who covers the league extensively, made some observations that should have Vikings fans absolutely losing their minds with excitement. Lewis reported Jordan Addison was unguardable today, and followed that up with another observation that reveals just how lethal the connection between McCarthy and Addison has become. J.J. McCarthy just rips the hell out of these in-breakers to Jordan Addison. Money every time. When a credible reporter uses language like that to describe practice performance, you know something special is happening on those practice fields. But here's what makes this story even more fascinating. Addison's dominance isn't coming as a surprise to anyone who has been paying close attention to his development throughout training camp. Reports from earlier sessions had already highlighted the diverse ways McCarthy and Addison have been connecting, with observers noting their success in 7-on-7 drills, full team situations, and red zone work. The chemistry between these two players appears to have reached a level where they're operating on the same wavelength instinctively. The specific mention of in-breakers suggests that Addison is winning consistently on routes that require precise timing and trust between quarterback and receiver. These aren't just comeback routes or simple patterns. In-breaking routes require the receiver to get separation quickly and the quarterback to deliver the ball with perfect timing into tight windows. From a technical standpoint, what makes Addison so effective isn't necessarily his physical dimensions. At 5'11" and 175 pounds, he's not going to overpower defensive backs with size or strength. Instead, his success comes from what observers describe as great precision and shiftiness, combined with strong compete and focus when tracking the football. These are skills that translate directly to game situations and become even more valuable when working with a quarterback who can deliver the ball accurately and on time. The fact that Addison has already accumulated 19 touchdowns across just 2 NFL seasons demonstrates his ability to convert opportunities into points. And the consistent praise for his route running precision suggests that he's someone who creates separation through technique rather than relying solely on athleticism. This makes him particularly dangerous because his skills aren't dependent on maintaining peak physical condition. They're based on football intelligence and technical mastery. What's really exciting for Vikings fans is the potential for Addison to step out of Justin Jefferson's shadow and establish himself as a legitimate number 1 receiver in his own right. While he's technically listed as the number 2 option in this offense, his skill set and the chemistry he's developing with McCarthy suggest that he could easily be a primary target on most other NFL teams. The timing of these breakthrough performances couldn't be more perfect, as the Vikings are heading into a season where they'll need multiple reliable targets to support their young quarterback and maintain their offensive efficiency. Having someone who can consistently win in practice against NFL caliber defensive backs suggests that Addison is ready to take his game to the next level when the regular season begins. Can you imagine what it's going to look like when Addison is running these same routes against defensive backs who haven't had weeks to prepare for his tendencies and timing with McCarthy? Because if he's looking unguardable in practice, the regular season could be absolutely spectacular for this young receiver. What do you think this level of chemistry between McCarthy and Addison means for the Vikings' offensive potential this season? And how do you see it impacting their ability to compete with the elite teams in the NFC?